What's up, everybody? This is MagChop Kenny, and you're watching The Third Rail.
Where the power is.
And that's when the bass go boom, 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 boom.
What's up, everybody? This is MagChop Kenny. Thanks for jumping on The Third Rail with me today. This is The Third Rail radio show where the power is. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I'm excited about today. I've had a great week. I hope you guys are all having a great week. It's going to be an amazing show because I have a special guest here from New York City. Well, it's New Jersey actually now. But what you're going to be witnessing tonight is basically two friends hanging out, having a good conversation. But this friend of mine is not just a friend of mine. He's the godfather to my daughter. I am the godfather to his daughter. And I've been friends with this guy for so long, and I learned something about him a few years ago that shocked me, because this is a friend of mine who we've been through a lot together. We've gone to war together, basically. And we needed somebody on a set one day. I was shooting a film. I was on a set in a film, and we're shooting this scene, and none of the extras showed up. And so I hear the casting director, I am listening to the producer, and they're talking about what's going on at the show, and we're gonna have to shoot, we're gonna have to reshoot, recast, all this kind of stuff. It's gonna cost money. They gotta re-rent the place. So I go over to her, to the producer, director, Barbie Castro, and I say, hey, listen, well, I think it was Bernard Salzman was the director, Barbie Castro was the producer, and I said, listen, I got some guys that I can get over here, we might be able to do this. So I called my boy here, and I called my brothers, and I was like, guys, get down to this place. It was down in Fort Lauderdale. And I said, we're gonna shoot a movie. And to my surprise, he did a phenomenal job. And so, we're sitting there, and I was talking, because he ended up getting like more parts. He got more parts than I did. And so we're sitting there and we were talking, and I said, I didn't know you can act. And he's like, bro, it's something I've always wanted to do. So we just finished shooting a scene this weekend. Let me introduce my good friend, Beber, Flores. What's going on, E? Welcome to The Third Rail. Thanks for jumping on with me.
Thanks,
appreciate
brother.
it.
Thanks for that introduction, brief introduction. Obviously, that brief introduction spans many, many years.
Yeah.
25 plus years, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's something like you were saying, where like you found out that, wow, you actually wanted to get into acting,
Yeah. Well, I knew you're a big movie guy. He's always been a big movie guy. So now that you've done two films. We just finished shooting a scene together.
Right.
And so this is now, you're in now. You know what I mean? The director loved you. Both directors loved you. They liked working with you. How does that make you feel as somebody that's never done this before to be able to have that?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, because I believe it was around 2017 when we did Marriage Killer, which ended up on Amazon Video, right?
Yes.
Right. So Marriage Killer with Jason Landon.
Jason Landon, right. Kristen Renton,
right.
Yeah.
That was probably like the it moment. I was like, it's either now or never, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Either you go and find out if you could do this and find out if this is something that you could do, or kind of to verify your convictions of like, just to have a little bit of context. I've always been a movie guy, all my life. I mean, watching movies with my father, and he was like a big, Humphrey Bogart guy, a big James Dean guy, a big Steve McQueen, the Great Escape guy. Like in that retrospect of learning movies from like the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and to like movies that when I was growing up, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, I just absorbed so much, and how us human beings, we come together and we make something possible. We make film, we produce film.
Yeah. And so let me touch back on that, because you hear about how he's saying that he had these convictions. He had this idea inside of him, he wanted to be an actor, right? And so he said, this is the moment I'm gonna jump. And so if you think about the last few guests that I've had and the shows that I've talked about, every show, it's getting out of your comfort zone. It's saying, you know what, going for it, dive in, but you gotta go in. You went all in.
Yeah, in this specific role, which is with Jonathan Vargas, right? Director Jonathan Vargas.
Yeah, the one we just shot.
Right.
Yes.
It was a little bit, it it was a little bit different because, well, many ways it was different.
Yeah.
Because first, it was my first speaking role.
Yeah.
Before, when I did Marriage Killer, I was just more of a support.
Yeah.
And I was more of a big scene kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like, it was a huge scene that kind of like changed the whole trajectory of the story and all that stuff, where it shows how, you know, very sinister the character is, the main character is.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, you guys got to see this movie because he gets into this fight with this guy in the movie, and so they they go action, and him and the guy go.
Oh, there's a crazy, this crazy part
And
right
so
here.
the
Yeah.
director starts running towards them, yelling "cut," and he yells "cut," and they just stop and they turn around. They're like, and both of them look at the director like, "Yo, was that good?" You know what I mean? And he
Right.
stops and he goes, "Oh, I thought you guys actually got into a fight."
Yeah.
And it was like, that's what the whole point was, and it was a really good scene.
Yeah, not just Bernard, the director, but it was pretty much, we had about 50, 60, 70 extras on there.
Yeah.
Because it was a club scene. It was a club scene, so pretty much I get into a fight with a guy in the club, and everybody backs up, and everybody's kind of like, what's going on, this and that. And it was an extensive scene because not just the director, but the actors.
Yeah.
All the extras, they pulled back like it was
Everybody
an
pulled
actual,
back.
like it was an actual scene. It was like, hey guys, you know, we weren't gonna do this. We were just right off the bat. We just went at it, and it was a great scene. It was a phenomenal scene.
And
But
now you're playing a henchman, where we play a couple of henchmen, and it's a real comedic scene, but it's got like those really serious but then really comedic. So the movie's called Side Effects. It's by director John Vargas. It's in production now. For those of you guys following the show, he was on the show last week. Shout out to John for bringing him on. And let me tell you, it was a trip because John couldn't be more happy with the selection of bringing you on board. And you know, John was like, listen, this is the guy for the scene. We did it, and it worked out. How do you, like, being on working with two major productions, John actually has a movie, Negativity, that I'm in, that's on Amazon Prime. Marriage Killer was on Amazon Prime. It's part of actually a series of Lifetime original movies. You know, I mean, look at the intenseness of the shots.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when you look at that, being on these two professional sets, what are some of the things that you noticed maybe different or the same? And what are some of the things that really excited you about being in the background now instead of watching the movies, being in it like the way you were?
it's true dedication to the craft. I mean, you're getting together with some serious people, you know, and the people that are not serious, they eventually kind of wean off themselves. But like people that are serious, that want to make this happen, that want to produce something that's going to stand out, and it brings out true talent, you know, true talent of people that really are putting together everything they can to actually be an antagonist, a protagonist in the film.
Yeah.
That's what you're seeing here. You're seeing that here with the other actors. You're seeing here with yourself, myself in the movie with David. He plays the bad guy that the henchmen actually rough up. You know, phenomenal actor, phenomenal person.
Yeah.
What a great guy. Definitely would line up and work with him again. But yeah, it's dedication. It's dedication that you see from Marriage Killer. It's dedication you see from this current film that we're producing. I mean, that we're acting in. You see the craft of people that are just dedicated and that want to make this become what it is. Even if we have to take the same thing like 200 times or 50 times or 175 times. We're tired, we're making it happen, but let's do it again so we could get the director's point of view of what he's actually trying to portray to the audience, portray to everybody.
That's what, you know, it's funny. I was just going to go into it. I was going to say, is there like, as we were doing these scenes, because of the fact that when you're shooting scenes, you have to shoot them the same scene from different angles. And shout out to the guy, what was his name, Carlos, that played Max Pyro?
I believe so, yeah.
Man, let me tell you, this guy.
Phenomenal actor.
I mean, he just, word for word, each time they changed the camera and angle and everything, his lines were just 100% on target. It was really great. Where with us, John was like, well, let's try it this way, let's try it that way. We had a little bit more leeway with the script and everything like that. Are you worried about having those kind of scripts? Because I know that for me, I am. I haven't worked with a director that's been like, hey, I need this line for line. I've always had directors that have said, you know, this is like, you could play with this a little bit. Get comfortable, say the way you would say it, but if you were this guy.
Right.
You know, does that something that you think about, like, what if the director's like, and it just sounds ridiculous, but the director's like, no, I want it said this way, you know?
Well, to me, it's first and foremost, I don't think I would have a hard time reading a specific dialogue of a character because you immerse yourself in that character.
Yes.
So you connect the lines with the scenes that are happening before, during, and after. And to me, personally, if it's a person of historical content, even better for me because I'm a big history guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So when, let's just say, I don't know, we're doing a World War II film. Oh, forget about it. You don't even need to tell me, hey, listen, in 1945, at the gates of Brandenburg, we had the Soviet Army, the Red Army, with General, Zhukov, ready to, but at that time, Hitler already killed himself. But, things like that, I'm like, wow, we're doing a film. Like, for example, Tom Cruise did Valkyrie. He did a famous general that wanted to assassinate Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
And that character was a true character, a realistic character. And if you're a history guy, you're already it's like second nature to you in that.
So is that something
what I mean?
All right, listen up, directors, you might be telling me something. So would you prefer if you were to start going in, obviously you've done 2 movies, you've never had to audition yet.
Right.
But, when it comes down to that, where you start getting into the seriousness of the film world, are those the projects you're going to look for more?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't in any kind of shape, way, or form want to be typecasted, as one would say in the industry, of a certain character.
So let me tell you, I was told that I would get typecast a lot, and at first thing I get a lot of the gangster character, or the bad guy and everything. But I'll be honest with you, I don't have a problem with if I was getting typecast because hey, it's work.
Right.
I'm getting paid to do this. I'm going to do it. You know what I mean?
I don't think necessarily per se to be to me when I mean typecasted, it would mean you will only be subject in that way, and nothing could ever be presented to you in a more abstract way.
Oh, right.
For example, we could be presented in a way where we're gangsters and everything, but we could be presented in a way where you could be a historic Latin figure with the same type of structure that you have. Maybe one of the first governors of Puerto Rico in a kind of a historic kind of way, you know what I mean? Or, Emilio Zapata from Mexico, that was part of the Mexican Revolution, And then
I always tell people, I'm not a Mexican, I play one on TV.
That right there, you open up many doors because when you're producing a picture, in my opinion, you're, like I said before, and the aforementioned audience, you want to portray everything that you're doing to that person sitting down at the couch, sitting down in the theater, and seeing right in their eye, right square in the eye.
Yeah.
What you're doing, what you're portraying,
That's what we were talking about. I had Bruce Osha from Gravesend on the show. And we talked about getting into that character and becoming that person. You actually have to become that person. But for me, I have there's little bits of me still in there. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Still a little bit of me in there, but
absolutely.
Being able to just be this other character, get out of, and in this show that we shot this weekend, there was moments where just out of my comfort zone, but it was fun. I had so much fun, and I feel like that's the biggest part of acting is the fun.
Right.
Absolutely.
I was gonna touch light on that. When one of my favorite directors is Quentin Tarantino, because of the fact of what his background was, how he became a producer, a director, and how he became all the major hits and cult classics, most importantly. The cult classics, these, like the Coen brothers, that produced cult classics, The Big Lebowski and Pulp Fiction, that is, Coen brothers, obviously the other one, but The Big Lebowski,
what is
Pulp Fiction, stuff like that.
When it comes down to the director's style, Quentin Tarantino also is one of my favorites. For me, I like the way he mixes.
He does a lot of what I believe what John would do, because you got some of the best characters now more than ever doing Quentin Tarantino. Whether it's the Django, where you have Samuel L. Jackson and Leonardo DiCaprio, another phenomenal film. Or you have, like I said, the Pulp Fiction.
Was Jamie Foxx was in that?
Yeah, Jamie Foxx, Kerry Washington.
Yeah, Kerry Washington. Man,
yeah,
what
so
a cast.
yeah, so many different characters. You look at Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah,
You know, just look
one
at
of
the
my favorite
cast of
movies.
Reservoir Dogs. We're talking about a late '90s film, where everybody in that, even Sean's brother that passed away, Chris Penn.
Yeah.
You know, so many. Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, and these guys were young. And you know what? You know what I like? I like watching movies that have like that real intricate dialogue. You know what I mean? And so a lot of the films I've had, I haven't had like a lot of back and forth dialogue. And you know, even in The Squad, I have conversations with Juan, but there's structured conversations here and there, because of what we were doing. You know,
Right.
but like. I'm looking forward to. I'm working with John on another movie we've been talking about. I can't mention their names, nothing like that, but I can tell you that I play a very integral role in the film. And he told me, he's like, you're going to have a lot of lines, which is going to be something really new for me to be having longer dialogues, and I'm really looking forward to that part. When it comes down to becoming the character and looking at the dialogue and you know your body language and everything like that, is there anything that you did that you feel, because realistically, I look at how you got into character, and then you got out of character. And so what is something mentally that you go through? Because I want to ask all the different actors that I have on here, whether they're big time on TV major or just starting off, I want to know what made you get into character. What did you put yourself mentally?
Being fairly new to film, I love the structure of the production team. I know that's probably something that goes overlooked, but you know, I like how everything's structured, how everybody, where you have, I believe his name was Francisco.
Yeah.
Where he would say, quiet on the set.
Yeah.
You know, sounds on, this and that, and then that right there is like a runway to me. You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like, you know, when you're on the plane and you're about to take off, and then when the plane's taking
Yeah,
off,
it's
because
getting serious
Yeah,
now,
because
yeah.
the guy, the plane's pushing the throttles up, like that right there is quiet on the set for me. And then action is taking off, and in that area, you know, I just put myself in. Everything turns off around me. Everything turns off. There may be, you know, everything turns quiet. There's no sound. There's nobody kicking stuff around or talking, whatever. You have the director. You know, that's where you connect.
Yeah.
To the camera, you know what I mean, to
Yeah.
me, and nothing will distract me in that way.
Well, you know what? It's amazing because of the fact that because you're new to this, and the fact that you got to work with two major productions. And John had his cameraman, he's got his slate guy, he's got the producer was on set, and then both times, even with Bernard Salzman, with John Vargas, I got this with Juan Vasquez, which I'm sure you'll end up working with. When they know what they want to see, when they know exactly what they're looking for, they come up to you and they say, no, let's do it this way. Because there was some times where he was like, you know what, I want you to give me more. Like, and it was like you had to dive into the character, because it was like you're in, but then there's the director's a good director, I feel, can really pull more out of you. You know, and John is one of those guys. It's like why I like working with him so much. Juan is like that as well, because he knows exactly what he wants to do and how it's going to be, how the scene should play out.
Right.
And so I think it's going to be important for people that are getting into the industry. You got to understand that the director is the director and take that direction. You know, I get on set with some people that, I've been on set with people that, you know, wanted to become the director, you know, and were really like staunch about it. And then I've never worked on sets with them again, you know. But then you work with people who they're just savvy with movies, and
Right.
they say, hey, you know what about this? People are like, yeah, that's actually a good idea. And so far I've gotten to work with a lot of directors that are open to, you know, making those adjustments. I hope you get to experience some of that stuff.
No, absolutely. The first thing I told John when I met him, I go, listen, these lines, how much latitude do we have?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, you're going to have a lot of latitude, but, you know, kind of stick with, you know, don't veer off, you know. To me, I want to know if you're by the book kind of guy, this is all you want, you know. I gave you a famous comparison the other day with Francis Ford Coppola in Godfather.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
Danny Aiello in the scene where he is one of the Rosato brothers' henchmen, and he goes behind Frank Pentangeli and he strings him up, and he says, Michael Corleone says hello. Francis Ford Coppola got mad at him. He's like, yo, cut, what is that? Where did that come from? He got mad at him. because Francis Ford Coppola is up. You better say it like this, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And don't come out when you're surprised. But he loved it and he kept it in. That's where it stayed in the film.
That's a trip because
know?
when I did Negativity, we were actually shooting the scene where Chris and I were pointing the guns at each other, and we had some lines that were structured, and it was good. It was really good. John writes good scripts, but what ended up happening was we had to change the camera angle, and John was climbing up on ladders and stuff trying to figure out a good angle for this shot. And so me and Chris just started playing around, and we started just saying stuff to each other. And John stops and goes, hey, you guys say that again, do that again. And so if you watch Negativity, shameless plug, on Amazon Prime right now and Tubi.
Right.
Go watch it, and you'll see in that scene was actually, everything was on set right there. We made it up as we went.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that's what makes the greatness. That's where human ingenuity comes out. You know, John, out of many experiences, I've been on a movie before. That's just to get me the taste of the whole who, what, when, where, why of things.
Right.
You know, a production, the scene, the casting, the director. You know,
the BTS girl.
The BTS girl, BTS, right behind the scenes. Another thing that I learned, and you know, that was, you know, just wetting your beak, as we would say, right? But there's another one. There's another aspect of this one here. I'm more involved in the film. I have my first speaking role.
Yeah.
I have a director that I kind of know what he wants, and then he's telling me about this character. You have to massage the role.
Yeah.
You're massaging the role of this scene. Like you do it one time, you know what? You got it up a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna massage it that way. You know what I mean? And that's where the creativity comes out of play. Okay, we're on our third or fourth take, and then the director is not. If the director still wants, let's do it again, let's do it again, let's do it again. It's because he's looking for something.
Yeah.
He's looking for something that he wants. So you have to get beyond your boundaries, and you have to say, you know what? Okay, I can't be redoing the same thing again. So let me change it up again. That's when you dig into the old archives, and then you start thinking about other things. You got to be more funny. You got to be more this. You got to be more that. And then, you know, that famous scene where I just went out all out. Okay, you want me to be funny? Okay, we'll be funny. I'll make you all laugh then.
There was a scene, we can't talk about what goes on in this,
Right.
but in the scene, he just does something that even surprised me in it. And I mean, John is watching, you got the camera person, John's sitting there watching, you got the producer, and all of them are in stitches laughing at this scene. So believe me, I'll be advertising when that movie's gonna come out. You guys will know about it. And when we do a screening, of course, you know, we'll be advertising all that stuff.
And to me, that was the, you know what, from downtown three-pointer moment, because I know now we're connecting. Now he's seen something that I you know, that he wanted.
Yeah.
He's like, yes, this is what I wanted. This is exactly what I wanted. This is what we're looking for. And then like you plateau, and okay, now we found. It's almost like with a director, you're at the beach and you got one of them freaking things that are looking for a freaking for metal. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing sometimes with, you know, when it comes to this, you know, because either that or, you know, you have to this is my opinion. You know, this is the way I work, right? In my mind.
Hey, somebody else might be listening and be like, "Oh, I'm not the only one."
Right. You know, you're looking for that moment where you're connecting with the director, what you're doing, and especially on the role that he wants it to be.
Yeah.
You don't want to settle. You don't want to settle for man. Okay, this is all this guy's got. You know, and you know that's where I think, like we were talking before about how people get typecasted, is because they won't expand on their typecasted role of what they are. You know what I mean? And that will never happen to people that are always going to show how abstract you are when it comes to things. You know, like I said, like a heavy character or a historical character. You know, those are very, very, you know, different scopes of the spectrum.
Yeah, I did a scene where I played the CEO of a hotel in Miami, and let me tell you, I got to wear a suit with all these guys, all these actors, and everything like that. It was a really wild time. And so I hope that you get to experience some of the things that I've experienced as far as the different characters, the different roles, the just the different directors and everything. I know you're going to be working with me on some other films.
Right.
You know, I'm really grateful for having you on the show today. I want everybody to know that this is somebody that I came up with. You know, we've done a lot together. I've watched him overcome a lot of adversities. He once owned a major cigar company and lost everything and rebuilt himself back up. And now he's got several businesses up in New York, and now he's flying down here to do movies. So believe me, there's nothing you can't do. You know, I'm always going to bring people on, whether I know them personally or I don't know them all, whether they're famous or whether they're not. If they got a really cool story or they're doing something really cool, I'm going to bring them on here so that I can tell you, look, we're all in this together. We're all working hard to be great. And if you're going to be great, there's several things you got to do. Get out of your comfort zone and be 100% in whatever it is you're going to go to. Dedicate yourself. So thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, brother.
I really
Anytime,
appreciate
man.
it. This is Kenny from MagChop. Thank you guys for jumping on the third rail. I'll see you next week. What's up, everybody? This is MagChop Kenny. Thanks for jumping on the third rail with me today. This is the Third Rail Radio Show where the power is. Let's go.